Welcome to the podcast Empowering Therapists. I am Lisa Catello, your host, and today we are being joined by Merrisa Little, who owns OCD North in Ontario. And I always get the city wrong. So I will let you introduce yourself. And so start a little bit, tell me a little about who you are and why you became a group practice owner. And yeah, where is OCD North located? And then I have a few other questions for you.
Great. Thanks for having me, Lisa. I am the founder and owner of OCD North. I really strongly identify with being a female entrepreneur, and I live for the challenge of being a business owner. And I became a group practice owner because it was really the only option. Coming from an entrepreneurial background, both my dad and my mom started various businesses growing up, and I saw the opportunities and challenges that it afforded them. I knew I needed to do something with my career that I was passionate about, and I just wasn't going to find that in the public sector. I had to create what I was passionate about.
This wasn't one of the questions that I sent you, but when you went to school for your master's, did you know that you would be an entrepreneur, or did that come after?
I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what that looked like. I always envisioned having a quote unquote center.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about OCD North. I was going to say the niche that is a little evident in the title, your locations and the size of your group.
We specialize in the evidence-based best practice for obsessive compulsive disorder, exposure and response prevention. We are currently in 2 locations, Barrie, Ontario and Surrey, British Columbia. We have a team of 11 social workers, 11 total, 9 social workers and 2 nurse practitioners.
That's awesome. You've grown so much. It's so fun. Are those therapists, are they contractors, employees, or renters? What kind of arrangement do you have with your team?
They're just contractors. The only employees I have right now is myself and my clinic manager, who is full-time.
Okay. We have lots of things to talk about. There's so many avenues that I could go down with you.
You'll just have to have me on again.
Yes, we will. I'm good with that. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because you have gone through some of the process a few years ago. I'm trying to think, like 3 or 4 years ago, I think.
I think it was 5.
Oh, seriously? That's gone so fast. With really so even when you were talking about, you knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur and this is how it went. And you went through a process of, do I bring somebody else? You use the term into the fold, so give a little picture before we dive into some of the questions I had. Like, what does that mean? I think you used the term into the fold. When you were considering more participation from this other person, what were you imagining it would look like?
Really a division of shared leadership responsibility. Everything from recruitment, onboarding, networking, HR related tasks, etc. Like the daily operation of the clinic.
Okay. So daily operations, kind of more admin side of things then?
Yeah.
What had made you feel like that would be a good idea? What made you want somebody in that role?
I thought that having somebody who had complementary talents and skills would be an asset. And at the time, I thought it was important to have somebody who could bring my vision to life and believed in the vision. And at the time, I didn't have the confidence to think that I could do it myself.
Okay. What were the steps that you took to decide if this was actually your next move with OCD North? How did you work through making that decision?
It started with a conversation first. I brought that individual into the clinic with the understanding that partnership would be explored at a later date. I think for context, it's important to note that this individual was also my first contractor, and my practice was in the really early stages. OCD North was really in its infancy, and so was I in terms of business ownership.
Yeah, take a little sidetrack there too. I think one of the things I had 2 attempts at having a clinical director on our team, and for various reasons, that those roles didn't last very long. I don't know if I really knew what I wanted, and like even when you're saying your business was in infancy, you're in infancy as a group practice owner. If you could go back then and give her that younger self, that more infant group practice owner, any advice, even just in envisioning, like on that part of what this role could be, did she have a good vision? Was that, or like now that you're an older group practice owner, would you have any advice for her?
Yeah, I think my advice to my younger self would be to practice patience and really let the job or the next move percolate before I say anything to anybody, really, because I think that's where I get into trouble, is when I get excited about an idea and then the idea doesn't really come to fruition because it just doesn't make sense. But I think my younger self needed to know that nothing needed to happen right away.
Yeah. I just came off a networking call with a few other group practice owners, and one phrase that was used was, nothing is urgent, everything can wait. And just kind of that perspective of like, yeah, it sounds great, and take some time to consider it and think it through. It can be really exciting as an entrepreneur and getting things started and like dreaming really big, which is awesome. And some of that slowing down and intentionality. Did you decide to proceed with them?
No.
Okay. What do you wish you had done differently in that process?
I think just building on what I just mentioned, I wouldn't have opened the dialogue about partnership as early as I did. It's my biggest takeaway from that process was about business strategy and how to keep my ideas, my dreams, my plans really close to my chest until I have a plan in place to make these things a reality. Otherwise, you risk disappointment and unrealistic expectations.
Did you have someone to talk it through? Or like when you're saying now you've learned to hold things close, you're talking in relation to your team or who you approach? Or so that's one part of the question. And then do you have people that you do talk it through, or do you process all of that on your own first?
I think both are true. I never disclose any of my ideas or visions or dreams until I can reiterate them with confidence, anticipate the questions that might be asked, answer those with confidence, and sort of stress test them against my own mind, so that when those questions do come up, the answers are more well flushed out, and I come across, particularly to my team, as somebody who considers and weighs options and doesn't just make rash decisions.
Okay. Um, do you ever still wish that you had someone in that role to help you with your group practice?
My initial reaction is that I do have people to help.
Okay.
I just don't have a business partner. I have a wonderful team who believes in the vision and mission of the clinic. I have an amazing clinic manager. I've got family support. My husband is phenomenal. I have you. And so I do have people that I can help, not just run my group practice, but help me strategize when those ideas are ready to be shared and fleshed out a little bit more. And I think that helps me build my confidence as a business leader. And I think makes the position of having a partner just redundant.
Okay. So going back a little bit, when you first said, when you thought about bringing on this person, they would do like admin kind of stuff and helping with that. So now you have a clinic manager. Mm-hmm. Are they doing those things that you pictured and they're just not a partner? Or did you end up evolving that role differently than what you imagined 5 years ago?
Both.
Okay.
I delegate what I don't want to do for the most part, even though it oftentimes takes longer than I would like. And I've got an amazing clinic manager who I can offload tasks to that supports the vision.
Okay. You recently had a baby and did a maternity leave of sorts because you're an entrepreneur, so not 100% off. So what structure did you end up having in place in order to do that? So you mentioned a good clinic manager. Mm-hmm. What did that look like to set you up to have a mat leave, to have time with your son?
I have an 8-month-old, and I used my pregnancy to fuel my intentions for the practice. In 9 months, I doubled my team. I expanded to a second location. I diversified services and hired nurse practitioners. I delegated student supervision, established a maternity leave plan that I then shared with my team. And I established systems that I had previously been procrastinating on implementing. So I created the clinic that I always knew I wanted, but didn't really have any reason to push for it until I got pregnant and knew that the time is now.
Okay. So basically got pregnant and, okay, let's make those systems happen because I don't want to be dealing with these questions every day while I'm on mat leave. Mm-hmm. How long will your mat leave be?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
Which is the bonus of being an entrepreneur.
Yes. So those systems are really paying off so that you're not feeling like I need to come back and take care of things, eh?
No, everything that I'm doing now, granted, I have one of the best support systems I've ever heard of. And I don't say that to brag. I'm incredibly grateful and thankful. But my husband is at the point in his career where he can take some time off every week so that I can work. And my family comes in every week to give me time away. So I am very well supported. They say it takes a village. And as cliche as that is, I wouldn't be able to be the business leader I am without their support. And they are the reason I can say, I don't know when I'm going back full time.
Okay.
Because what I'm doing now is sufficient enough.
And so you have a village at home and you've got a village at work to Correct. Help facilitate those. Hey?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. There is someone out there listening today who is feeling like they want to have a group practice, but they don't want to do it alone. So kind of coming back to that part, what would you tell them are 3 key questions to consider before they dive into bringing someone on to do this with them?
Great question. I wish that I had listened to something similar back a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would ask why. Why don't you want to do it alone? Looking for, is it a lack of confidence like it was for me? Are you looking for somebody to complement your skill set? If it's a confidence thing, I would say do it scared, because ironically, that's the best thing for confidence.
Mm.
I think second is, do you have a vision for your group, or what a term I just learned, a big, hairy, audacious goal?
Okay.
If you don't have a vision, if you don't have this big, hairy, audacious goal, then seek clarity before bringing somebody else into your chaos, because the vision needs to align so that you're both working towards a common goal. And then piggybacking on how you always say, who is your ideal customer? I think you need to look at who is your ideal partner. Just like we do the work to see who your ideal client is, do the same work to find your ideal partner. Looking at what does this individual bring to the table that you can't? What skills do they have? How much time can they devote to the practice? And how do you pitch the vision of the practice to ensure that you continue to see the same future? Again, to make sure that the future you both envision is aligned.
It's hard to do this alone, and it's hard to do it with someone.
It's just hard.
Yes.
Choose your hard.
Yeah. 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 And I almost would add a fourth one, just from my experience, both with working with people and going through some of that with having had a partner to start with. Like, if you're considering bringing somebody on, what is it actually that you want them to do? And can you create a village, like you were saying, to make that happen, so that you don't have to try and share the direction giving, the decision making, all of those kinds of things. Are you feeling alone right now? And if you are, then who can you get in your corner to support you before you make that decision? Because it's, in a lot of ways, it's like getting married, right? Because you're sharing all of those things. And especially when you're somebody like you and knew that you wanted to have be an entrepreneur, grow something on your own, and then to have, if you jumped into something with a partner and that they want to go a little bit this way, it's hard to share that decision making process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else that you would want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Anything else you would like to add?
Well, I was thinking as you were talking, like just the systems and stuff like that, like the longer I do this, the more I think that is huge. Getting the systems in place, getting support. And I think support looks like other professionals too, right? So a bookkeeper, a lawyer, an accountant, but also like, when is it time to bring on admin? Usually that's sooner than later. And then is it a clinic manager or is it a clinical director that you want? And why do you want one of those roles? What are you hoping that's going to take off your plate? Why? Like you were saying, so much of it comes back to like, what is my vision to, right? And where am I wanting to take this? And a lot of times we don't actually sit and do that. As entrepreneurs, we get so excited, and I call it shiny object syndrome. Here's something exciting, let's go do that. And if I can come back to why did I make that decision, or where is this taking me where I want to go? It's huge.
Yeah, without a vision, you're lost, right? And you just end up spinning your wheels. You're not paying attention to the things you should be. And it's easy for shiny object syndrome to derail your whole practice if you let it. It's kind of scary how quickly it can happen. And I think a vision really helps. It's like your North Star. It keeps you grounded.
Mm. Did you create that before you went through this process, or did you clarify it after you went through this experience?
I've always had a vision for the clinic.
Okay. So you just got back in touch with it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for spending time with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Merrisa is amazing. She's got so many goals and making them happen. And you got to watch out for her because you will see her across Canada at some point. And so exciting to watch you grow. If somebody wanted to reach out to you and ask a little bit more information about this experience or how they can consider whether they want to partner or not, or just pick your brain, are you open to that?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So we will put your contact information in the show notes. And Merrisa owns OCD North out of Barrie, Ontario, and BC as well. And thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with me on Empowered to Lead, the therapist practice. If you're ready for deeper support, I'd love to see you inside the Group Practice Connection, my monthly membership where Canadian therapists like you get coaching, community, and the tools to build a business that actually supports your life. You can check it out at grouppracticenetwork.ca. We're building something great here, and I'm so glad you're a part of it.
This is Michelle Abraham, and we are honored to have Lisa Catallo's Empowered to Lead podcast on our High Vibe Podcast Network. For more shows like hers and to grab your free gift from the gift fold, head on over to highvibepodcastnetwork.com.